Hello friends, it's me, and today, ripoff? Let's check out Style Theory. Don't waste your money on color-changing clothes. Variety talk. From the Style Theorists. Together, let's go.
Color-changing clothing is going viral all across the fashion world right now.
When I left the hotel, my skirt was white. What the fuck?
Legitimately, watching all those transformations is awesome, and it's led many people to declare that light-activated clothing is the future of fashion.
Science.
But today, I'm gonna prove to you why these UV-activated outfits might not be such a bright idea.
Bright idea. Okay, having said that, please do recognize that this video came out in 2023 last year. Right now it's 2024.
Hello Internet, welcome to Style Theory, the
Hello Internet, welcome to Style Theory.
channel that can transform your subfeed from a drab snooze fest to a closet full of colorful content with just the click of a button. Speaking of colorful transformations, today we're going to be talking about the coolest fashion trend to go viral on the runway this year: color-changing clothing. You see, earlier this year in Paris, the Japanese brand Unreal Age had their models walk out in these dull beige dresses. Nothing too awe-inspiring there, right? But then out popped these magic light wands and boom! The boring beige was transformed into colorful masterpieces right before your eyes. It's really spectacular stuff, and since then, more and more outfits exactly like this have been popping up online. True to form, it's prompted the internet to hail this as a glimpse into the future of fashion. Clothing that's able to transform right before your very eyes with nothing more than a flash of light. But you know me at this point. I can't just sit back and enjoy a brand trying to go viral by showing off some new tech. Just like the time that we talked about spray-on clothing, I have to understand the science behind this magic. And just like with any magic trick, once you peek under the surface and see how the trick's done, you realize that everything is just a bunch of smoke and mirrors. So join me, will you, as we shed some light onto this trend to expose the true colors that are hidden under the surface of fashion's latest fad. So, like
I see your true colors shining through.
every good magician, we need to start off with the basics. What exactly is the trick here? Well, what we're seeing in these posts by Unreal Age and other like-minded brands is an eye-catching trend called UV-activated clothing. As the name suggests, these clothes get an immediate glow-up using nothing more than good old-fashioned ultraviolet or UV light. So what exactly is UV light? Well, back in our episode all about Wednesday Addams' color allergies, I explained that what we call color is really just different wavelengths of light. White light is just a mixture of all those different wavelengths together. When this white light bounces off an object, like a shiny red apple, the apple absorbs all the colors except for red. That red light then gets reflected off the apple and sent back to our eyes, telling our brains that what we're seeing is a red apple. In reality though, there are more colors out there than you can possibly imagine. And I mean, you literally can't imagine them because our eyes can't perceive them. Our eyes and brains have only evolved to recognize colors in a very specific wavelength range.
And we call that the spectrum, the visible light wavelength. I think so. Visible lights.
It's known as the visible spectrum. UV light falls out of that range, with a shorter wavelength than what we can perceive, but also longer than the next shortest of X-rays. Basically, nature just rolled a nat 20 on its stealth check. No one is gonna be able to see a thing. But two places you can find UV light are 1, black lights, and 2, out mixed in with sunlight. Hence why all of these dresses are suddenly transforming as soon as they're outside. But how exactly is this happening? Well, these UV-activated dresses are made using what's known as photochromic dyes. The word photo for light and chromic for color. So let's just zoom in here and figure out what's going on under the hood. These dyes—
I'm gonna tell you one thing, it works. It absolutely works for one-time events. It absolutely rocks. However, it's for one-time event, well, you can't reduce it. Once it changes colors, you can't change it back. So it's like a one-time thing. It's cool, it's awesome, it's fantastic for that one particular event, like a wedding or funeral. You get the point, right? Like the celebrations, it's like, hey, 100 million subscribers, woo! But after that, that clothing will never change color ever again. Ever.
are basically able to switch back and forth between two different versions of the same molecule. One version, known as the ground state, is the stable one, because none of the atoms inside of it have any sort of charge. Now in most dyes, that would just be the end of the story. You've got yourself a molecule that reflects the right color back to your eye. Done and done. But what makes these photochromic dyes magical is that if you give them a little excitement by energizing them using a dose of UV light, the chemical shape of the dye starts to change. Suddenly you end up with a slightly different molecule than the one you started with, one that absorbs and reflects slightly different wavelengths of light. So instead of just being stuck plain and white, the sweater can now transform into a brilliant blue or a radiant red. But this magic trick does come with one major limitation: time. This newly excited state for the molecule is too unstable to last forever without constantly adding more UV light. Without that constant UV stimulation, the dye will eventually return back to its normal, boring ground state, reverting the garment to the old original color. So, is this shiny new trend our fashion future? Well, first off, let's just get one thing straight. For as cool and high-tech as all this seems, it's actually nothing new. Photochromic dyes have been used in eyeglasses for years. If you or any glasses-wearing person that you know has ever tried out transitions lenses, where the ordinary clear glass transforms into darker sunglasses
I just got it a few weeks ago.
when exposed to the sun, yeah, it is basically the exact same thing. Toys have also been using this technology for decades.
Meet Voltage's hair, Frankie Stein. Color change your hair with light.
These aren't the only color-changing dyes on the market either. Along with photochromic dyes, there are thermochromic, hydrochromic, even electrochromic dyes that all change color when exposed to heat, water, and electricity, respectively. So really, when you break it down, this is just the world of high fashion using stuff that's been appearing during Nickelodeon commercial breaks for decades. But sure, while it might not be new, I still gotta ask the question, how mainstream can this stuff actually get? Well, let's take another look at those UV dresses. Have you noticed anything when it comes to each of the designs? Each one starts with a base color that's some kind of white, beige, or very light color before the big reveal. When I first saw this, I just thought that this was for demonstration purposes. A blue and pink transformation is gonna wow an audience a lot more when it starts off as a blah beige. But taking a closer look at some of the online stores selling this UV clothing, start to notice that this definitely is not just a marketing ploy. It's a limitation of the product. These photochromic dyes appear to only work when they start as a light color and transition into something darker and more vibrant. I don't know about you, but if these dyes are only gonna last as long as I'm standing exposed in the hot sun, I don't wanna be left wearing a glorified potato sack when I step back indoors. If the fashion events that you're hoping to attend are indoors or at night, you're just out of luck. And don't get me wrong here, I am definitely not opposed to neutral color palettes, but take away the color change element of a lot of these outfits and suddenly you're left with some pretty bland looks. And that's especially heinous when you start considering the price tag for these things. Photochromic dyes ain't cheap. We're talking over $500 for a very basic dress, $50 for a t-shirt. That right there is a hefty investment for something that's such a novelty product. But hey,
Yeah, it's available, but quite limited. It's the barrier of entry is none. It's commonly used by the elites, but commoners like me and you, zero chance. On a very practical basis, zero chance. Let's be honest with each other. I'm not going to use it on my day-to-day life. Even on my wedding day, if my wife, if my girlfriend, my fiance, say let's do this. I'm like, let's be practical, shall we? Let's grow up. My income is not that rich. Maybe if I marry someone that is like a multi-millionaire, it's possible. A billionaire's daughter, maybe that's possible. But if I earn a very regular day-to-day job, my girlfriend, my fiance, my wife earns a very average day-to-day job. We aren't going to afford that. That's way off our budget. Way off our budget.
at least it's unique, it'll serve as a cool signature piece in your wardrobe for years to come, right? Wrong.
It's like, where got money?
Photochromic dyes have one last hurdle to overcome: stamina. While the process of switching back and forth between colors seems like it should be able to go on infinitely, eventually the chemicals in the dyes start to break down from repeated use. Now, to be fair, that isn't unique to these specific dyes. All dyes from your normal wardrobe are going to start to fade over time too, but while you might not notice your black t-shirt slowly fading to gray after a few months, you will start to notice that the dress that you bought for its color-changing powers is starting to lose its vibrance. And what is the kryptonite to your color-changing supersuit? Heat and light. Yep, the same light that makes this magic happen in the first place. The irony runs deep with this one. According to some sources, quote, the stability of photochromic dyes are excellent, especially if kept at a distance from light and heat. If the dye is placed in a dark and cool environment, possibly they would extend their shelf life up to 12 months. Cool, great, awesome. So
Within a year? It can't even tahan for 2 birthdays? What?
just gonna buy our $500 UV reactive dress and then get one of those
No, it can barely tahan for 2 birthdays. Barely tahan for 2 birthdays.
garment bags, throw that garment bag on a rocket and then blast it off to the cold, dark reaches of outer space. At least then, our dress will last for a whole year. If you're looking for a real world
It's a waste of money! Well, if you are rich and you are the part of the elites, this kind of luxury, you can afford it.
concrete example of this, take the Nike Air Force One UV Reactive Series. Awesome pairs of shoes that just pop with color instantly the moment you head outside. And they better be awesome because they're costing you $200 a pair. There's just one problem with these shoes. They're gonna only keep their magic for around 8 hours.
Final update, the shoes stopped changing colors entirely on one side. Not too dark, but definitely changing colors. It looks like after, has to be like 12 hours, that they will just remain white and they will not have any more color.
In short, these cool color-changing kicks start to lose their effectiveness after one day at Disney. At least Nike's upfront about how long their shoes last, or not, considering some of the comments that I've seen of disappointed customers who didn't realize until too late that their new and flashy shoes are now no more than cream-colored trainers. Hey Nike!
But look at bright sides. If like this kind of shoes, right, this kind of outfits is cheap, like $10, $11, $12, I will probably afford it. I'll probably buy it for me, my wife, my children's. Like, heck, if I have 10 children's, in total you have 12 shirts, I will buy it for that day in Disneyland. Yeah, it's a special occasion, special event. Let's just spend money on buying this. Like, if one shirt costs me $12, 12 shirts cost me $100+. I can afford to do that is because, well, it's a special occasion. But if one shirt costs $50, I'm not going anywhere near that. It's too expensive.
Don't just do it, do better. While some brands like Del Sol boast having a lifelong guarantee on all their lines of color-changing products, other brands like PH5 don't have any mention of how long these dresses can last. Whether it's shirts, shoes, or paints, all of these UV-activated items seem to have themselves a fixed lifespan of effectiveness that no one seems truly able to predict. Considering similar products on the market cost less and will ultimately keep their color inside and out forever.
My bad is like cost less, $145, $125. Bro, that's expensive. Expensive. Like, case in point, I'm going to use a military point of view, okay? Military self-outfits. Military self-running shoes. They sell it for $30, $40, $50. Yours is literally 3 times more expensive than them. 4 times more expensive than them. If I'm a buyer from a very middle-income family or low-income family, who do I pick? Shoes from this fashion brands or shoe from this military brand? Which, note, military brands, they have to sell shoes that can last you for years and years and years. You have to go through military training for it. Oh, you have to go through military training with it.
UV just doesn't seem worth the cost, at least not yet. So I think it's pretty darn clear at this point that UV clothes might need a little less time in the sun and more time in the lab before they're ready for their mainstream adoption. But with a little bit more work on the details, just imagine all the cool products that you can make using this technology.
Okay, look, maybe 10, 15, 20 years later, it can be cheap enough that one shirt costs like $10. One shirt costs like $10, one shirt costs like $12. I will be able to afford it. Alright, I'll be able to afford it for like 10 kids, me and my wife included. Yeah.
Shirt that tells you when you've gotten enough sunlight. They make stickers that are UV activated to let you know when it's time to reapply your sunscreen, so why not a shirt that can do the same thing? Doctors recommend that everyone should spend about 10 to 30 minutes a day, a couple days a week, out in the sun to get some vitamin D. And with research showing that people are spending 90% of their lives indoors at this point, what can we do to make our sun time safe time? Introducing the Loading Bar of Sun, a t-shirt with a UV activated loading bar that slowly fills up the more time you spend outside getting UV light. When the bar fills up completely, you'll know that you've hit your daily quota. Or imagine an ARG jacket where you have to go outside to reveal the hidden clues, where the puzzles and games that we usually spend our days inside playing would not only encourage but require us to get some quality outdoors time. Who knows, maybe this could finally do the impossible and get our editors to come out of their editing dungeon, stepping out into the sun for the first time in forever. Second thought, no, we probably shouldn't do that. Half of them would turn to dust like vampires. So in summary,
Vampires? What?
UV clothing is a cool concept that has itself some unique applications, but at least for the time being, the expense and expiration date of these products make them pretty unrealistic for anything more than a minor social media gimmick. But
or maybe like for the luxury brands, for the elites, the top 0.1% class.
hey, that's just a theory. A style theory. Keep looking sharp. And hey, if you want to learn more about spray-on clothing, clothing that literally comes in a spray paint can, and how it might be the next wave of future fashion, that video is on the left. Or you can always check out the episode on the right where I use the science of light to check out whether or not you can be allergic to color like Wednesday Addams. Don't forget to subscribe for more crazy clothing science, and as always, my friends, I will see you next week.
Well, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you find this video quite informative. For me personally, I think that it's a very cool technology, but for mass usage, for the general audience, general viewers, general purchasers, general buyers, you need to lower you need to lower down the price. $50, $125, $500. No one in their right mind is going to purchase it for their everyday usage. No one. Only the top 0.1% is going to like, oh, cool, fantastic. I will buy it for that particular occasion. It's like wedding anniversary, marriage, this sort of things. Like once in a lifetime thingy, like once in a year kind of thingy, they can afford it. But for people like me, for people like you, most of us can't afford it. I'm so sorry, but try better, do better. But hey, that's just a theory, a style theory. Keep looking sharp. And I hope to see you all in my next video. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Bye bye.